Hey. Good morning. All right, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Good morning. Wake up. Get up, get your body moving. Feels like a Monday, but it's a Wednesday, June 8th, 2022.
Hump day.
Good morning. That's right, hump day. Know what day it is. What's happening? All right, I see y'all up early with us this morning already. This show is dedicated to you, the chat chimers.
Coming on
ghost
in.
Listeners. Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Welcome back. That's right. Good morning. Once again, a fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning for you right here. It's going down. Thanks for the radio crew that's joining us, the 6:30 crew this morning as well over on First Sky Omaha / the listen button. So check that out if you get a chance. And shout out to 6:30 crew. Let me know how the mix was this morning. And good morning to everyone here. Good morning to you, all the chat chimers that have jumped in. First of all, how you doing, buddy? What's going on with you?
Hanging in there. I'll be honest, looking forward to this break coming up. Yes, y'all. The days are limited. So yeah, I'll be honest, looking forward to, just taking a little break, man. Kind of smelling the coffee beans, as we like to say. But glad to be here as always. Looking forward to today's show, man. I was kind of beating myself up on Monday, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Please, Paul told me a couple people were hitting his phone like, you partied too hard, didn't you?
Everybody's like, I knew your birthday weekend was gonna get you.
Oh man. No, it was all me. But big shout out to everybody that did show up and show out to the Curly Martin and the Martin Family Trio show on Sunday. Definitely wanted to speak on that and give that a shout out. The thing happened, man. So success.
It did. It was a great show. I gotta say, this is what I came to do. I came to put something like that on at the theater, man. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm at the theater. So it finally happened. It was a glorious night. It was real cool, man. I gotta give a shout out to Terrace, shout out to Curly. There's some professionals, man, consummate professionals, bro. They're showing you what's going on around the world right now. In a real way.
Legends indeed, man. So man, I missed it, but I'm definitely glad that you were able to bring that vision to fruition. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to the Vincent Theater and everybody that was involved, everybody that showed up. Big shout out to you. And man, definitely glad to be here though. What's going on in your world? How you doing, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Still just a lot of work going on, but that's constant. But there's a plan in place, so that's always a good thing. So just grinding along. Also looking forward to the break. This is a good time. It's a good time of year just for us to do this. I'm glad we kind of picked this time of year to take a break. And for those of you who don't know, we take a break. This is gonna be the 2 weeks at the last part of June and 2 weeks into July. So about a month is the time that we need to do what we got to do, move around a little bit and so on and so forth. So I'm definitely feeling that. There's things that we're trying to do are piling up. So it's good that we're going to be able to break and kind of revamp and get back to building and get to season 4 strong.
Yeah, man. Just hearing you say that though, season 4, it's moving, but it's good to be here. Good to still be doing the thing. Good to be getting the response and the support that we're receiving, man. So we definitely appreciate everybody in the chat, all the chat chimers, all the ghost listeners. Just as always, looking forward to growing and building as Paul just mentioned, man. So
that's real.
Yeah, very excited about that.
Speaking of chat chimers, I'm gonna jump in. Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Pops
Hey,
says,
hey.
good morning. Women's Wednesday, my favorite day of the week. Pops, I got to tell you, Michelle Trostler is not going to be here today as well. I kind of knew this was going to start happening because the job of executive director over there is a tough job,
Man.
and it's not one that you can do on the side. So it's catching up to her. As she's progressing more in the company, definitely taking on more responsibility, and I knew that was going to start weighing on her. So hopefully, we'll revamp and see what we can do with her in season 4. And I have a feeling that she's probably going to be out for the rest of the season. But I'll if you know her personally online, send her your best. Tell you miss her, all that good stuff. But yeah, she's working real hard, so she's I understand that she has to take off like she does today. So, but we will be politicking with P a little later on though, and got a lot to
Hey.
talk about too, man. There's all kinds of stuff happening politically, especially
Yeah,
locally, that
man.
we need to definitely talk to her about anyway. So anyway, just down the line here, Miss Snipes gives us a morning, y'all. What's happening? What's happening?
Hey.
Chelsea says, happy hump day with 2 camels. I like that. Thank you very much. Hump day it is. Brother Valentine says, good morning, fam. Good morning to you. Judy Princess says, glad we're back. Yeah, glad we're back today as well. Brother Muhammad gives us assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. Alaikum salam, brother. Also, Rome's Review says 121 subscribers over on YouTube.
Hey,
inching up.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Lucia Rodriguez says, good morning to you as well. Stetsy Jean says, good Mo. What's happening? I like that. Good Mo.
Hey.
Good Mo to you too. Brother Valentine says, buddy, I'm gonna let you finish, but I still need that flight voucher number.
We'll see what we can work out. We'll see.
Let's see. We got from Facebook user. I got to see who this is. Good AM from Raleigh, Durham. Okay. Shout out to Southside today and Joe Test closing shop. Sad.
Oh man.
Oh, you didn't hear about Joe Test closing out?
I did see some posts, but I thought they were like Joe Test appreciation posts just for the sake of Joe Test appreciation. But I did not know it was closing. It's kind of sad to hear, but I'll be honest, man. Joe Test ain't been the same for some years, man. Joe Test.
I mean, that's what we're all talking about.
Yeah. I think they switched up the type of fish that they were mainly serving, and it was just like, not the same.
So that was Renee Kellum that was on our Friends of First Sky, giving us a shout out from Raleigh, Durham. That's what's up.
I think that's a new name.
Yeah, I think so too. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
Kateri Human Pedo gives us a good morning with some sunshine. What's happening? Brother Muhammad says he had a great time. Thank you. Brother Muhammad came to the Curly show, so
okay.
Good to see him out over there for sure.
Had a great time.
Yes. Ronnie Shields, Van Glorious. Shout out to Nebraska from Highland, bro. Both. It's my brother from Highland, man. Bozak in the house showing support. What's going on, man? I ain't seen that name in a minute. What's going on, bro? Wow.
Welcome.
Bozak in the house. What's up, man? Appreciate you coming on threes on YouTube too as well. So that's what's up, bro. I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna be out there here in July, man, end of July. So let's definitely link up, man. That's crazy. I love it. Josh Tate gives us a morning, y'all. Judy Princess says, I'm not looking forward to the break, but you deserve it. The fam is always together. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
Miss Knight says, enjoy your break, y'all. We're gonna try. For sure. We'll be working. It won't really be a break. It'll be a break from yeah. It'll be a little bit of a break, but we'll be working. Mark Matter gives us a good morning. Willie Williams says, hey people, Juneteenth celebration are here. Enjoy them. Miss Williams, we need to talk to you about the all the official stuff, because we were just looking at the calendar and there's a lot of events happening around the 18th.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that. And I said, we hadn't even got to the official stuff yet. And we're talking about all these other events. So don't know what that means for attendance to these things. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Brooke Allen gives us a good morning. Todd Pinson says, morning love, First Sky. Appreciate you. Kimber Snipe says, Joe Test ain't been the same in years. My dad used to cook for them back in the day. Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's what's up. Wanda Lewis said City Council approved Terrace Bud Crawford's purchase of the OOIC building yesterday.
Really?
Whoa.
Really? That is a bombshell.
Breaking news. That's what's up. We got to talk about that. That's what's up. She says Willie the flag raising was super on point as always. Okay, so we already missing some of the festivities going on here. Facebook user, who's that? Von Chapman. Von Chapman says, if you don't change that grease, you'll be out of business. That's cold.
Man. My first job was at Burger King. I remember they be changing that grease all night. Man.
Yeah, dude. It's funny, man. It's like a notorious thing in black restaurants, though. And this, I don't even think Joe Test was the black restaurant, but it's a notorious thing to like keep that grease. This where the flavor's at.
Nah.
Gotta clean that grease, bro. Ty Williams gives us a good morning with some sunshine. What's happening? Thank you all for getting up early with us this morning, man. June the 8th, 2022. It is officially summertime, although we did get hail so hard yesterday that everybody calling their insurance company this morning, and hail came down so much in certain parts it looked like snow buildup. It was ridiculous.
It was that bad.
It was ridiculous, man. It was bad. So again, man, you know what I'm saying? Like a cat like me from California, I don't understand what's going on. This weather just is confusing to me. I don't get it. It's June. It's middle of June. It's supposed to be hot.
Nope. Again, only 10 good days. That's it. That's all.
You only get 10 good days all year long. Ronnie Shields says, July, right on. Looking forward to seeing you. Miracles and blessings to you and the family. Hey, bro, you too, man. Long time, brother. Long time. But we're gonna hook back up for sure.
Man, that's a beautiful thing. Old friends tapping in, tuning in, man.
Right.
Beautiful thing.
What was that? Can you believe it's been like 20 years already? No, it's been like 20 years, bro.
Man.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's real crazy. I'm so that made my day. I'm happy to hear from you, man. Kimmer Snipes says South though got the worst. I literally got my shovel. I'm telling you, it looked like snow on the ground, bro. It was so much hail. It was crazy. Wanda Lewis says it did not hail in Northeast Omaha. We hailed a little bit. We got some hail in the Benson area. Because I'm like, that don't sound like rain. What is that?
Rum pum pum.
Yeah, it was crazy. And pretty. Some areas got like golf ball size too, man. So it was like,
man. Well, yeah, y'all be careful out there. Y'all be careful out there.
Of course, it'll be 90 degrees next Monday, and then
it sounds about right.
Anyway,
about right.
Yeah, man. Welcome. Old brother Muhammad said the worst is yet to come. Watch the weather. Yeah, bro. That's funny too. It's like they're saying it's harder and harder to predict because of what like climate change is doing and everything. They were like, first of all, when it happens, the intensity is going to be worse than ever. But now it's even getting hard to predict what's going to happen. Not that they were great at it before.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, meteorologists never been the most accurate.
This is true.
Yeah. But anyway, that's been a quick first Sky weather report. Please, y'all, drive safely out there.
Yeah. Supposed to be nice today, so
enjoy it. But climate change is real.
Yeah, most def. Good muggy morning from Miss Erica Phelps. Still ain't been able to use your name. I don't understand what's going on with Facebook. You and Facebook got a. I don't know. I don't think so. It's just not showing her name. I don't understand why. That's a new one. That's a total new one. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Facebook user, good morning, sunshine. Stacy McLean Honeycutt, what's going on with you? Appreciate you over here on Friends of First Sky. Karen Snipe says I was at the prayer vigil for Uvalde and Tri-Faith when it started. Okay, I didn't know I didn't know they were doing anything for Uvalde victims. So that's pretty cool. First Sky morning weather report. There you go.
Yeah. We won't do it often, but every once in a while.
First said, good old Rusty Lord. Rusty Lord is the dopest name ever. I would just put it out there.
Is that a local meteorologist or something?
Oh yeah, you don't know Rusty Lord? He's a legend around here, man. With the weather,
man. No,
weatherman Rusty Lord.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a cool name. It's a cool name.
Real name, bro. It's a real name. Got some funny, good stuff. Speaking of that Uvalde situation, I saw something that really caught my eye, which was that the press was getting blocked.
Yeah. Let's actually, go ahead, dive in what we'll be talking about today, because that is one of the topics. You said it, man. Media press getting the shield, kind of getting the cold shoulder, not only from police but also biker gangs. Apparently, they tapped in with some biker gangs in the local area to quote unquote protect the peace of the families. But we'll talk exactly what's going on down there in Texas. More and more news kind of coming out from the aftermath of the Uvalde shooting. Also, more and more aftermath. Speaking of the schools, now teachers are responding to the situation happening in OPS, which we'll also be talking about. More distrust, it seems like, coming from teachers, and even with the announcement of the stipend, it does not seem like teachers are still all too happy about that. So we'll talk about exactly what they're saying and where things stand with that situation. Also, as Paul mentioned, we'll be politicking with P a little later on, and more and more news coming out about the conversation we were having about the no voter ID petitioners. It's more complaints have been filed, and now it's kind of back and forth war of words, if you will. But it kind of looks like, man, it's some chess being played by Republicans, as always, especially when you add in this new appointment by Governor Ricketts of Kathleen Kauth. Is that her name? Again, replacing the vacant seat that was left open from the death of Rich Pauls in the state legislature. And of course, you got to know she fits the script, if you will. So definitely be talking about that. Also, more COVID news coming up, and also some Juneteenth things happening. But as always, if there's anything on your hearts, your minds that we're not discussing, feel free to let us know. Drop that into the chat. We're here to have a community conversation, community storytelling. That's what this is all about here for the next 2 hours. Buddi3 Da Gawd, Paul B, Star Trek Rich, all of you. Let's go.
Hey. Good morning. Once again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd. Buddi3 Da Gawd ain't quick on the trigger today on the mic. It's all good. Star Trek Rich in the house, holding it down in the back right here at Weberized Studios. Of course. This is Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. And man, this has hump day, I guess you want to call it. Happy hump day and all that good stuff. Those of you that know, Michelle Trosker is usually with us on Wednesdays. She is not with us today. And once again, she has to take the day, unfortunately, because they it is what it is. So but we will be politicking with Pete a little later on today as well. So stay tuned for that. Lots to talk about there with her. And just welcome to everybody that is joining us this morning, getting up so early and joining us. The chat's already going off pretty good here. Bikers have historically shielded funerals from weirdos. When gay military members were buried and the crazy church used to protest at their funerals, the bikers stepped up to shield the family. I've seen bikers go both ways. It just really kind of depends on the power structure. Kimmer Snipes says Republicans typically know how to play chess and keep their business out the streets, i.e. internal fighting. To clarify, though, all biker clubs are not gangs. Very true. And
thanks for that clarification. Kind of misspoke, because actually the organization that was in this article is actually a nonprofit. So we'll get into that, but let's kick off today's show with starting right here in our own backyard, talking about the response to the OPS announcement that was made last week. Again, on June 1st, district officials announced a stipend proposal following, of course, the mass exodus of teachers, hundreds of teachers making their exit from OPS schools, which actually resulted in a 43% increase in staff departures from just last year. So again, as far as the loss of staff, which already had multiple positions still unfulfilled, going in the wrong direction. And actually, Monday's board meeting was not a good sign of it changing anytime soon. Red t-shirts filled Monday school board meeting as many members of the teachers union said that they are afraid that the money, which again was proposed, would come with strings attached. Again, the full-time staff was proposed to receive $4,500 a year, while part-time staff would receive $2,250 for the next 2 school years. That's according to district officials who said they anticipate the money would come out by September 1st, and then also December 1st and May 15th as the years go on. Of course, the stipends are a part of the allocation plan for nearly $280 million in federal COVID-19 relief money. So that is where the money is coming from. And also, in addition to the $72 million worth of stipends that's being proposed, there's also $5.2 million for teacher home visits, and then also another $5 million for loss of plan time, and $200,000 set aside for hybrid class instruction, i.e. the in-person and virtual teaching, which so many teachers had a problem with. But again, teachers are still distrusting of OPS board, still feel like, this is just a band-aid on a missing limb, not even a gunshot wound. I mean, it's a situation that was already pretty bad before the pandemic, made worse by the pandemic, and now these couple $1,000 are more cause for concern than anything. One teacher is saying the stress of larger class sizes made it difficult to adequately address student behaviors and connect with students. In addition to the coverages, she said it was a huge strain to her, and a lot of teachers are feeling like even though this money is coming, it's not going to change class sizes. It's not going to change the fact that they have to pay for their own supplies. Nothing is going to change. Again, it's just a band-aid on a missing limb.
That's actually what we were talking about the other day when we kind of talked about that stipend news, and that it felt like right away, like, okay, a one-time small payment, relatively small payment is supposed to solve what
Right.
it's supposed to keep teachers from leaving. I don't think they were leaving because of the money in the first place. Brother Muhammad says you cannot pour new wine in old wineskin. Yeah, I think it's interesting that these teachers are stepping up and saying that too. They're saying they're concerned. I wonder what strings attached they think.
So that's the interesting part to me. So they're saying that they feel like the money, like they feel like the district will have the attitude that because they got the stipend, that they're going to still be expected to work longer hours, tolerate larger class sizes, and covering more classes. Again, there's been teachers teaching subjects that they're not qualified for, that they don't really know anything about. And if you're a parent, you know what it's like to go over homework assignments that you're not really that well versed in, if you will. So imagine trying to lead a group of students in something like that, who are already in a frenzy, already in the mental state that we've already been explaining, due to the pandemic and everything else. It's very, very, it's a lot of compounded issues, all one.
Brother Valentine said, just an observation, but where was the voice of the black teachers and staff of the district? It's a good question, for sure.
Good question.
Pops is saying the Republican Party is playing chess while Democratic Party is playing checkers. Things don't look good. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that a little bit when Precious McKesson gets on, History Making P gets on. But yeah, I agree. This back to the subject here. We probably should talk to some teachers, see what they, I'd like to talk. If there's any teachers in the chat, as a matter of fact, or any ghost listeners, let us know what it is that you are kind of feeling about this situation too. I mean, that makes sense to me. I thought the money is not really going to solve the problems in the first place. All it really do is that it's like a bribe. Why don't you stay in this messed up situation, and we'll give you a few more $1,000 once.
Man. And beyond that, beyond the strings, teachers are also voicing concern about how this will impact the negotiating table. because again, there's still other issues that need to be addressed, and teachers are trying to have their voices heard. And there will be negotiations about class sizes, which are expected to go up. Right now, class caps are at about 24 students, but for elementary, that's expected to go up to 28. For middle school, that's expected to go up from 26 to 30, and for high school, that's expected to go up to 35 students per classroom. Which the more wider the student to the teacher ratio gets, just the worse impact that the class is for the students. It's just not a good situation. So again, when it comes time for negotiations, will the board say, hey, we gave you some money, we don't really have any more money to up pay, or it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And again, as Rachel Benzani, who was resigned from OPS last month, she says to some extent this loyalty bonus might temporarily slow down the exodus, but the exodus will continue to happen without long-term solutions. So again, it sounds like these teachers are not feeling very excited or very skeptical about the prospects of those negotiations and long-term solutions.
And it seems very first thought to me to be, like there's a problem. What do we need to do to stop this exodus? Well, let's give them some money, and then,
Yeah.
and then the thought process seemed to have stopped at that point. Like you didn't get to the second thought. You didn't say, what would be better than that? How can we actually throw, if we're gonna throw some money at this? What would be better? I don't know. It just seems like a knee jerk reaction to a problem that isn't thought out at all. I mean, that's great. That's great. You can give them $4,000, but like, what is
That's
it?
one thing I've learned in working, man. Like, I've had some dead end jobs, worked at Burger King, sold knives for Cutco, and worked at a factory printing boxes and all kind of things. And one thing I realized, and it might be a generational thing, or I don't know what it is, but I realize sometimes money ain't enough. And it don't matter what the job is or how much money you're offering. If I'm miserable doing the thing, I'm just not going to want to do it. I'm
Well,
just not going to want to do it.
I think you hit the nail on the head about it being a generational thing too. I think that was like back in the day, that was the only motivation. These days, and this is what people are leaving out about this whole Great Resignation thing that they keep talking about. They keep on leaving that part out. Like we went through the 2000s where we became woke about what companies do, and how every time you spend $1, that dollar is a vote towards that company staying in business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people getting real tired of that. And then not to mention, like, our generation saw the previous generations working, hating their jobs, hating them, hating going to work, how it affects all life, family life, and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's just not and everybody got wind. It's just not necessary to put yourself through a bunch of mess. We're in the age of self-care, bro. So we're not going to just go to some job and get abused all day long just because the money is media. And then on top of that, we live in a time where the money that we make ain't covering nothing.
Right.
Can't even buy gas, bro. You can't even get an affordable house. So you just going to work so you can just pay the electric bill and you know what I'm saying? And spending too much on food. Food is costing ridiculous amounts of money now. So yeah, I don't know. I think that like I said, Brother Muhammad in the chat, as a matter of fact, said he asked the questions. Their taxes will go up as well. I mean, you give somebody some money, they got to account for it. $4,000 more on your check means you're gonna pay more taxes on that. He's saying clean the house top down. When we're thinking about top down, we're thinking about who those powers that be are. Was that their thoughts? Well, let's just give them some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really kind of it in the end, it feels like a first thought. It feels like no other thought was given to it. A knee jerk reaction. Let's throw some money at the situation and let's throw it to the teachers and to make them stay. It don't even seem like they asked, what do you need to stay? Because they wouldn't have said $4,000. Oh, we lost you. Your sound is out. I'm gonna jump into the chat real quick while we see what's going on there with you. Also, let's see. Leah Vinton gives us a good morning all with sunshine. Good morning to you. Miss Erica Felt says, my son was a sophomore last year. His Spanish teacher was absent twice a week for the last 2 months of school because they were being trained to work elsewhere, not as a teacher. His substitute didn't know Spanish. It's the only class that he got a C and is messing up the average because the Spanish teacher didn't know Spanish. That's crazy. That's really insane. Mike problems.
Check.
Got you. You back?
Okay. I guess my cord got knocked loose or something. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Cool.
But yeah, I was hearing all of that, man. Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I was just thinking when you were reading that earlier. I was thinking there was always the joke back in the day, like the coach, the PE teacher was sometimes would be teaching science
or history. It's usually history.
And
history is some kind of civics class.
And it's a joke, but now it's like every teacher is doing something extra like that.
Yeah, especially like with what was mentioned with the Spanish teacher and the foreign language classes. Like I've heard a lot of that, of like foreign language teacher not really teaching foreign language, or them getting rid of art classes, and it's just it's been coming to this point for a very, very long time. And to your point, I didn't want to jump into a quote from the article. Board member Spencer Head said that we need to address why teachers aren't happy where they are, or not respected, valued, or listened to, and we still have work to do. So again, as far as really addressing the root cause of this issue, and not just trying to, as I mentioned, throw a band-aid on a missing limb.
Yep. Brother Ronnie Shield says, true, not necessary to be unhappy and undervalued at the same time. I mean, that's like this. That sums up every job, just about, especially teachers.
Man.
Especially teachers who are like spending their own money to buy supplies for the kids and stuff like that. Crazy. Facebook user says, did that increase in monies cover the cost of inflation?
That part.
Not really. Wanda Lewis says, it took me hours to psych myself up for my last job, not because of the work itself, but because of upper management and wannabe bosses who had very little knowledge of the job itself. We can have a whole roundtable show about all the reasons why people are deciding not to go back to the jobs that they had before the pandemic.
Yeah, actually, there's a NPR article that you pulled that's quite poignant to that direction, as far as people moving to remote work.
Yeah, absolutely. They're demanding that that you stay home, that you're able to stay home and work. There's no point. So much stress is wrapped up around work environment. It's crazy, man. Like I one time I was thinking about it. I counted up to about 50 jobs I've had in my life, and some of them were me just being like, I'm out first day. Like, nope, this ain't happening. Or me sabotaging it and then get fired 3 months later. We used to joke about like one of our friends. Matter of fact, Ronnie in the chat, we used to joke about one of our friends that we call the hardest working man in the world. He would take a job and then he'd be so mad by the time the job did him wrong and all this stuff, and he kicked the door down and walk out because it's just like we just come from this situation where we're like, look, it's got to be, it don't have to be the most fulfilling thing in the world, but it can't be abusive. Like, we can't be in situations where we're just getting abused for no money. It just don't make no sense.
That part. And as far as teachers go, adding on poor work environment, adding on distrust of your advisors and kind of quote unquote higher ups, as far as the relationship between teachers and boards, but adding in this whole school shooting element and just the sheer danger of the job itself, that's a whole nother element. That's kind of what I want us to get into, is this Uvalde story, because this is it's getting pretty bad, man. It's getting pretty bad as far as what's happening down in Texas, and reporters trying to cover again the latest tragedy, the latest mass shooting in a school. And this is being reported by Democracy Now! So shout out to Amy Goodman, always doing the good work, man. But yeah, apparently journalists from both Houston and San Antonio who are in Uvalde trying to cover not only the shooting, but some of the situations surrounding the shooting, relationships between police and the community, parents being arrested, just trying to cover some of the funerals and they've been stopped. It's been reported that they have been stopped by both police and a biker club called Guardians of the Children, which I've actually heard about. They actually do, in a lot of instances, do good work. They are a 501c3 that apparently they say they work with victims of child abuse, sexual assault, things of that nature. But in this story, apparently the Uvalde police asked them to guard and to basically protect these funerals and these families from reporters. The issue with that is, one, it has not been officially verified whether or not this organization has actually been in contact with the police, and whether or not police did actually ask them to as the reporters say, harass reporters and stop them from doing their job. There's also been instances where there are families and people who want to speak to reporters, but police officers are basically threatening them. There's this kind of nature or essence of silence, if you will. There's actually been some people who stated that they're afraid to speak with reporters because they feel like they would be fired from their jobs. There's actually one mother in particular who has been reported that she, was arrested during the event when she was trying to go into the school and rescue her child because the police officers wouldn't. And it's been now being reported that she has been threatened to be arrested again if she continues to share her story and to share that portion of what happened to her. So yeah, very, very tense situation. Code of silence kind of being implemented down there, and journalists are really trying to figure out what is fully going on. But when you add in the presence of, I think they said 12 different police agencies, all having active, officers in that area. We're talking about ICE, we're talking about Border Patrol, ATF, state police, troopers, sheriffs. They're all active in this area. And there's, for all those police, still a lot of questions left unanswered.
Yeah. The article struck me just because I'm thinking about, like, it's very obvious. First of all, it's a bad look for the police. The police already are getting looked at real side eye because of not saving them kids in the first place. When we talked about this last time, we talked about this case. We talked about the fact that the border patrol, the ICE. There was a guy sitting at a bar, and he gets called and says, "This is going down." He asked the bartender for his shotgun, and then runs past the cops, jumps in there and shoots the guy, shoots the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the reason why they had to report that, Border Patrol or ICE was the ones that saved, that got the situation under control, because the cops were standing out there for 45 minutes, not letting nobody in, not waiting on backup, doing all kinds of stuff, and never did anything. So it's already a bad look for them. Now they're embarrassed and want to try to cover this up, and doing it in the worst way, trying to block the press, trying to use their influence. And not only are they ineffective in the area that they need to be, but they also are going to bully the press on top of it.
Pretty much. And not only that, but again, remind you, a large portion of that community in Uvalde is Spanish speaking and Hispanic. And there was actually a few press conferences where some of the Spanish speaking reporters tried to get some answers, and one asked, can somebody speak to us in Spanish? And at that point, this reporter says that they're basically ignored. And it wasn't until like a week later or so, or a couple of days later, when there was eventually a Spanish speaking official, on hand to kind of break things down.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. And just this thread of silence and this fear that the community is feeling and trying to just tell their story is very telling, and sad.
Yeah, we're thinking about this also strikes us all the time too, because my interest in journalism comes from a citizen point of view, because I don't have a journalism degree. I'm not a journalist that way, so I'm fascinated by the fact that as a citizen journalist, I have the right to be able to hold some of these people accountable, and to be in spaces where we can ask the kind of questions that need to be asked. Everybody knows that journalism is the fourth estate, which is a check, another check in the check and balances situation of the country, where you got people and politicians and people doing what they need to do, and you have journalists that are keeping an eye on that, letting the people know what's happening and exposing them when need be. So it's a battle, and we living on a battleground right now when it comes to journalists. It's almost one of the most gangster jobs you can have right now, to be a journalist.
Yeah, man.
People are literally losing their lives over in other countries, going to other countries trying to report stuff. And now, and ever since when Trump came into power, there's been this war against journalism, war against this constitutional right. It's funny how they're all about constitutional rights when it comes to guns and everything else, but not when it comes to freedom of the press.
That part, which is the First Amendment. It's the first. It's only after that fails that the second comes into effect, and you go to the guns.
Like that's Dave Chappelle said.
Exactly. But it's the first for a reason, man. And I see Sharon Ann in the chat. Yeah.
She said, "Keep doing what you're doing." Earlier in the chat, I did see her. I wanted to go back and make a comment there. She said Republicans are watching. They are trying to push their voucher agenda by letting this happen and sitting back. They hope to say, "See, we need vouchers for private school, paid for by our tax dollars." I've seen the invites to their fundraisers.
And see, that's she kind of read my mind with that one, man. Because that's what I was thinking about when we're talking about this OPS conversation, and also that's what I'm thinking about with this whole Uvalde situation. Because if you have private schools, and private schools can kind of have more autonomy over how they secure their facility. Got to have
who they let in is the reason why they want that.
Right. That part too. If OPS kind of crumbles and breaks down, then you have more reason and more people pointing to, see, we need more private schools, and it falls right into the hands of the agenda, and especially with this school shooting situation, as far as just gun control and that whole conversation and how that's being politicized, that it falls right into the agenda. So it's very, very telling. And again, just got chess not checkers, man. Got to pay attention to the moves that's being made and how things are being spun. It's always very interesting, like you say, when people chime up and what they chime up about.
There you go. Brother Valentine said it best too. He said, simply, it is a war against the truth. Star Trek Rich says it's one of the reasons why I got out of news media after 20 years. It's a war on journalism, bro. A war on the truth, for real.
Yeah.
Carol Blood in the house. What's happening? Put Carol Blood for governor. Put some respect on her name. She says, right. They say they want to keep government out of our schools, but yet the voucher folks come to the government for money. Craziness. Chess again. Also, Wanda Lewis says, but privatized by who is the question. Also, Brother Valentine, you all right?
Yeah, Mike went out again. I'm not sure what exactly is going on.
Sitting on the cord? What you got going on? Brother Valentine says, at the current state of Omaha public schools, I bet school vouchers will again become a topic of conversation. The argument will be grounded on how this better school system will attract and keep taxpayers in Omaha. Yeah, there you go. These schools will solve the brain drain situation. Go Carol. Sharon said, for those you don't know, we're talking about, this is Carol Blood. She's running for governor, and she's on the chat this morning. So really appreciate you doing that. You always bring a nice crowd when you come as well. And and once again, we need some new blood. The reason why we were able to do what we do here is because we're having a discussion. This is a discussion group. We call it group storytelling. And this is so that we can all kind of talk about what it is that we're looking at as far as finding solutions to some of these problems. We feel like Carol Blood is one of those persons that is on the same page when it comes to that on the real. So if you don't know who Carol Blood is, please go check her out. Look for her. She is running for governor. You need to find out what's going on there in the real way. So that's what's up. Christy Nor in the house. What's happening? Says, yes, the Republicans want public education to fail. They get more control, and our children are nothing but money to them. The public school system, OPS, is like, I think didn't we report it was made up of more than like 65% people of color now, kids of color, or something like 70% even, if I remember correctly.
Are you saying the students or the board?
No, I'm talking about the student base.
Oh yeah. Again, big shout out to Bridget Fogarty, who reported on the kind of the white flight of OPS and a lot of those families going out to West Side District 66, Bellevue, Papio, just those school systems.
Yeah, I like Facebook user said these are the same people who pray for the school children but won't allow prayer in school. It's interesting.
Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make
Interesting.
sense. I mean, this is again the same state that rather build new prisons and youth facilities rather than investing in the schools and routing that money to certain programs that would help these families. Like the things that make sense are never what happens. It's always some nonsense going on. So
very true.
I think we all see the writing on the wall.
I think so. I mean, like I said, the chat is it sounds like people are agreeing and adding a lot to this conversation here when it comes to this and kind of seeing what's up. We're finding the language for the battle is that's kind of what we do here too. So, and it's because of all of you that we do that. Kimber Snipes says 75% qualify for FRL and more than 120 languages spoke.
Wow. Yes, FRL is free reduced lunch.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. She says more than 75 now. I'm sure since the pandemic, 75% people of color, kids of color in OPS. So a lot of I can't take that out of the equation. That means something as well.
Yeah, I mean, if OPS fails, who's that fall on? And it's almost like they're planning for it because what are they building now? A whole bunch of mental health facilities and new prisons and
right.
What other options are the children having?
Let's take a quick break. 7:47 right now in Omaha, Nebraska. If you believe in the concept of time, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Star Trek Rich. All of you will be politicking with P here pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And earlier in the chat, I said Brooks said that Zane says he loves his Uncle Paul. I love you too, brother. Appreciate you, man. And I heard you're 6 now. Turned 6 yesterday, so that's what's up, man. That's what's going on. The dude shares the birthday with Prince. Oh man, that's what's happening. We'll be right back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. Once again, if you are on Facebook, share the show so we can get as many people talking as possible. If you're on YouTube, thank you. Like and subscribe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Looks like we lost our radio signal, so I'm going to go ahead and get that back. But all of you that are in the chat chiming with us, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thanks, to continue to bring in on your all your stuff. Continue to bring in every thought that you have on this because we, like I said, a group conversation. We got to have it. This is discussion. People are paying attention to what it is that we are thinking and feeling about these subjects. So continue to bring that on. Appreciate it. Brother Valentine says, proud to have Senator Carol Blood represent me in my household from her days on city council all the way to the governorship. Hey. That's what's up. New blood in the house, please.
Man, all the way.
Kimber Snipes says, come over to the South Omaha Neighborhood Alliance and let us show you how to get connected to start neighborhood associations with you, which you can then partner with your local schools. Change can start with us. I like that
Mm.
attitude. I like
Yeah, I
that
like that.
attitude
I
a
like
lot.
that. We actually had that conversation about there was a proposal in all of this of schools kind of taking a more local approach and having a little more autonomy to really focus on the neighborhood that they're in the surrounding area and really serve those families, which will be an interesting thing to see because we know the state, some of the powers that be, being Governor Ricketts' office, is trying to do quite the opposite as far as get rid of the state education board and try to pull that under the governor's office, which is a move that they tried earlier this year. So, yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the school system to watch out. Some of the chess moves, as you will, and we'll actually be getting into more of those chess moves here in a second. With Governor Ricketts' latest moves with his appointment of Kathleen Kauth.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to jump into that?
Yeah, well, are we we'll be politicking with Pete here in a second because I definitely wanted to hear what she has to say on some of that.
Yeah. She's not on yet, so
Okay.
let's jump on to it.
Well, in the meantime, in between time, I did want to hop into kind of continue our conversation of Uvalde, because unfortunately, since last week, since we've been covering the shooting, there have been more shootings. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who was telling me about an event that, an incident that happened there during an event in which 14 people were injured, 3 of which ultimately passed. There's been reports of now another a graduation party in South Carolina was shot up. Also, mass shootings in Arizona. There's also recently a mass shooting in Philadelphia. Actually, this NPR article has broken it down to 240 mass shootings in the last 156 days.
Dang.
Yeah, man. It's mass shootings have also happened in Texas, Georgia, New York, Michigan, all over the weekend, according to Gun Violence Archive, a group that tracks these types of incidents. In some 156 days into 2022, the country has seen now at least 246 mass shootings. That's according to the group. That puts the U.S. on track for one of the deadliest years on record since the archive began tracking gun deaths. The site defines a mass shooting as any incident in which 4 or more people are killed or injured by a gun. And since May 14th, when again the incident happened in Buffalo, New York, there has been 4 or at least 4 dozen mass shootings. Again, since May 14th,
That's
4
crazy, man.
dozen mass shootings across the country, according to data from the group. And again, not really wanting to get into too much of a conspiracy theorist type of angle or direction, but going back to the Uvalde, Texas conversation, and some of the secrecy and some of the silence that we're hearing from police. Not much has come out, or not many details are being put out about where this shooter got of this ammunition. And I'm hearing more and more about the tally. Like, again, this kid was 18 years old and had $10,000 worth of ammunition. Again, this kid was 18 years old and had $10,000 worth of artillery ammunition, armor, everything. Where does he get that? How does
Yeah.
he get that? And again, since May 14th, 4 dozen mass shootings. This can't be just a bunch of random events. It's happening too often. And again, I don't want to get off into a whole conspiracy theory angle, but there got to be more to this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Judy Printer has a good point. She says they didn't pass. Speaking of the language of these kids, they died and were murdered.
True.
But Brother Muhammad says shooting creates instant fame for the shooter. They're considered the history makers. So sad. It's a learned behavior. Kimber Snipe says the shooting Friday night, my friend's son was killed in South O
Hmm.
was technically a mass shooting. Fundraiser tonight at Jets from 6 to 10. Wow.
That's true too. But I've heard some people, when we're talking about these tallies, they're not including like mass shootings or shootings at house parties in Chicago and
Yeah.
LA and those types of events where it's
6 or 7 or 8 people getting killed.
Right. But because it's, gang activity or this, that, and the third, it's not necessarily looked at in the same light. But it definitely could be and should be.
Yeah. It's pretty. I remember after the, it wasn't just because we were reporting this kind of stuff. It kept happening, and we kept seeing reports, and it got to be like, man, okay, this is gonna be a daily thing now. Where there's something. There was a mass shooting here or there, this school here, that school there. It's some kind of epidemic that's going on now. Is it just being reported better now? Is it on the minds of reporters more so now because of what just happened in Uvalde? Is good, what are the answers to the to these questions as far as this stuff is concerned? And like you said, it's hard when you kind of want to go down the route a little bit of is this a planned situation here? You don't want to get too far off into conspiracy theory, but like what else? It's because we're looking for explanations here. We're looking for explanations as well as remedies, and
just trying to make sense of it.
Even the remedies are like, well, how's that going to work if you got these things in place? Like you got people who will fight gun rights to the death. I mean, that is part of it. That is part of the thing. How do you even fight that? Like the people from Columbine got a whole organization that they've formed after the Columbine situation, where they are fighting for gun rights, fighting for people to be able to register for guns and so on and so forth. They're fighting. It makes you feel like, well, how can you win any of these fights when the climate is like it is politically?
It's a good question. But what other options do you have but to fight?
Yeah. I mean, a few things. I choose to not have a gun.
Mm-hmm. But you still got to fight against what's going on some way, shape, or form.
I mean, I think that it's all going to start with people. It's the reason why we're having these kinds of conversations. You have to put it in the minds of people. I mean, there's some people, we have people in the chat that are gun owners that decided to act a certain way with their guns, or they take better care of locking their guns up. They don't give $10,000 worth of artillery to their 18-year-olds in the house. So, I mean, all we really can do is reason with each other on pushing, getting people in seats, legislation, everything whatever we need to do to put the discussion that we would have here is it makes sense to me to at least treat gun ownership like you treat a driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
We've all talked about this several times every time we bring these things up. Obviously, most of the people that we talk to here are about some kind of control. So, growing the numbers of people that think that way is the only thing I can really think of at this time. In the chat, Brother Mohammed says, think about all the military-style videos that teach this conduct. Parents buy and play these games openly with their children, y'all. WTS, where are y'all thinking? Well, I hear a lot of Republicans trying to blame video games and rap music and stuff like that, but at the same time, I also see footage of people who are able to, in wartime, control drones in the same way that you control a controller on a video game. It kind of looked like a video game to control drones now. So
you can control drones with a video game controller, like literally.
That's insane. So, I mean, would you consider that training, like first person shooter games training? We talk a lot about the fact that young people their brains are not fully developed. You got to be until you're 24, 25 is what the notion is.
Yep.
And so allowing kids to be able to go buy deadly anything is probably not a great idea unless it was highly regulated. So that's part of it. Kid can't buy alcohol or go to certain places, do certain things at 18, but they can go buy a AR-15. Let me see who's in the chat. Somebody's in the chat over at the Friends of First Sky Omaha. I want to see who it is. I'm seeing Facebook user right now. It says, I got rid of mine once my firstborn could crawl. That's Erica Felt. and didn't touch one again for about 20 years. That's interesting. So you got to making the choices about what's going to be in the house. Brother Muhammad says these people have savings accounts from birth. That's where the money comes from. It is training. Yes. Who knows where that came from? It could be it's a good question to ask. How did the Uvalde shooter get $10,000 worth of artillery at 18 years old? Sharon Ann says, I went to the military at 17. Think about that. You can go to the military at 17, 18. You can't buy alcohol, but you can go to the military.
Right.
Kill people. You know what I'm saying? Brother Valentine said training and recruitment, online chat groups when gaming are very active. I look more at the military institution. That's where you get most of the training. That's where you can handle the guns. That's where you get trained to kill people.
I'm talking about the ROTC and stuff like that.
I'm talking, military institutions is most of the time there's a military element to a lot of this as well.
Kind of like the Kenosha, Wisconsin cat was a part of the cadets training and ROTC and
wow.
Volunteer deputy cops and
I didn't realize that.
I mean, a lot of these guys kind of come from that background. They're either tried out for some kind of military thing. I mean, a lot of times you look into those dudes' backgrounds and it's either some kind of militia group that they're a part of or some kind of military, paramilitary training that they've received.
Yeah. I mean, when I think of where people would get trained to kill folks, that's the only thing I can think of is that's the only place. So and when you look at a lot of these cases, there's either ex-military or military in their family. There's tons and tons and tons of military people out here though that aren't going around doing this kind of stuff or their children. But the point is that we have military style weaponry that people the 18-year-olds are very easy. It's very easy to get, and they're trying to make it easier for them to get. And we can talk about mental health issues, or we could just talk about access. But really, when we're talking about any of this stuff, we're talking about solutions. Like, what are the solutions? Wanda Lewis says the education system has too much control over our children. The current system can get to come up with agendas such as CRT and dictate what our children are learning. With homeschooling, children can attend programs that suit their needs and learn more about themselves and the history of their origin, share cultures without being reprimanded. That's a solution.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely homeschooling ours, but there's also things like socializing, which is hard to do at home when it's just you and siblings.
That's definitely an issue, definitely a problem.
Yeah, because then you become an adult, or you're culturally aware and you're intelligent, but don't really have any social skills. Can't really interact with others.
Got no street smarts.
Right.
Black folk have increased their ownership of guns for fear the police will not save them in emergency. That's Von Chapman saying that.
I have heard about that. There's been an increase in you got the NFAC and other similar militias popping up around the country, doing training and weapons training and things like that.
Speaking of training, Kimber Snipes says I learned to shoot at 15 at Bryan Middle and the gun range through JROTC when I went to Bryan High. So this is in school. When I was in school, I wasn't paying attention to ROTC or nothing at all. So I really didn't know what was going on there. But yeah, at school, there's gun training. At school, at 15, you can get gun training. Pop says those games. Go ahead.
I do remember that at North, the ROTC had the gun range.
I knew the ROTC had to do with the military, and I wasn't really about military when I was in school, so I didn't pay attention to it. So yeah, it's news to me that there's a gun range that you can practice. You know what I'm saying? Like that's interesting. That's interesting that that was happening all around you in school. Pop says those games can create a mindset and desensitize the value of life in the minds of young adults and children. Interesting. Miss Wanda Lewis says community homeschool when is the option. Brother Valentine says for many, guns are a status symbol and a prop for an agenda. So you know that they are not looking at being safe with it. Kimber Snipes says that's why I got a gun. Someone was high as hell and tried to break into my house with me in it, and took the police 15 minutes to get there. That was her. So that was her reason for it, because the police wasn't going to protect her in time.
Yeah, and yeah, response times, especially in certain communities, are very, very lacking, if you will.
Big
But
time.
yeah, as far as solutions, man, without the proper people, or without the proper legislation, and just the political game the way it is, it does not look like many things are going to get done as far as gun legislation.
Yeah, and we're I feel like what we're doing too is getting ready to move into a situation that is going to be real bad. A lot of people right now are pushing for to loosen gun laws, and those same people, these are the it's I was just reading a whole bunch of stuff about California and the fight and the race and the things that are going on there. Republicans are really trying to infiltrate every aspect, and they're doing the work of teaming up to with an agenda, and they're trying to spread that agenda everywhere. We were talking about if Roe versus Wade gets overturned, which is looking like it might. There's states like our state that has things in place and people in place that will be ready to ban abortions here, and they're the same thing. They've been pushing guns. They have a clear agenda. We talk about Republican and Democrat all the time. Democrats don't seem to have a clear agenda. A lot of times, it's not as clear as Republicans got. If you want to go that route with the whole Republican Democrat thing, but we're in a time frame right now that seems real crazy. That seems like it's real lean towards everybody who wants to, these people who want to have no gun control, want to ban everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, and again, it looks like it's not gonna the tide isn't gonna be turning anytime soon, especially with a lot of the midterm polls pointing towards the pendulum swinging back towards the Republicans, and the game of chess is being played now. Has been played now for several years, and that you hit the kind of the nail on the head, Paul. As far as like we talk about Republicans a lot, and but Democrats, yeah, I'll be honest, there is no real clear thing. It almost seems like the only time that they really are full swing when they're trying to get the black vote, the so-called black vote.
Well, we have individuals. There's individuals out there that I feel like are on the right track and trying to do the right thing. I think as a party, though, sometimes there's a lot, and I also think there's a lot of. Somebody said earlier, like, the Republicans don't be airing their dirty, the internal fights out in the public, whereas Democrats will be air a lot of dirty laundry out there a lot of times. So I don't know. I think there's some strategies out there. Pop said it earlier too. Republicans playing chess, Democrats playing checkers.
Yep.
It's tough when you have individuals out there that are fighting the good fight, that need that support, but don't always have the full support of their party, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one for them. So just goes to go ahead.
To that point, a lot of times we've kind of seen like the Democratic kind of going up against the chess that's being played, and the strategy that's being laid out, and the script that's being followed by Republicans. Seems like a lot of time Democrats, like we saw with the presidential election, it was all about beating Trump rather than, you know what I'm saying? It was all about beating Trump rather than actually pushing the agenda and the platform or whatever that is. And it seems like that's kind of the point. A lot of times with Democrats, they're on the defensive so much that they can't really push what their actual agenda is. So yeah.
Yep. Let's take a quick break. 8:09 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Star Trek Rich. Looks like we're not going to have not going to be politicking with P today. It looks like Precious McKesson is out, and so we apologize for that as well. Still haven't really even heard back from her. Hope everything is okay. So in the meantime, we'll keep on having this discussion with you. We really appreciate everybody who's chimed into the chat. If you are on Facebook, do us a favor and please share the show. And let's get even more people in the discussion here, and we'll be talking about more to come up next. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I like that you guys keep on talking about it. Carol Blood says politics has become more about voting against things, not for people. Ain't that the truth?
There you go.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Star Trek Rich, all of you. It's already 8:11.
Man.
And yeah, man, it's really, really, really crazy. Time be flying because time doesn't exist. But thank you very much, and we appreciate you coming back through. Like I said, we have Senator Carol Blood, who's running for governor. She is in the chat right now, so get to know her, check her out, look her up. You got to understand what she's up against, what she's running for. She'll be running for governor, and we need new blood in a real way.
Yeah,
we can't say it enough. Pillin' be illin', and I'm not gonna go on with it, but
yeah. we'll just leave it at illin' pillin' for now, man. But up against a lot, kind of as we wrapped up before the break, man. We understand, that a lot of times it just kind of becomes beating Republicans and getting the victory. And as Carol Blood said, politics has become more about voting against things and not for people, which is interesting. It's very telling, and it's very true. I mean, you listen to a lot of these political ads. I think someone else mentioned it in the chat earlier as far as fear mongering. A lot of the ads is, if you don't want this, if you don't want that, if you don't want this to happen, if you don't want that to happen, then vote for me. And it's like, what are you going to do? What are you actually going to do? What will happen if you vote, if you get the vote and get the victory? And
one person, I heard a quote one time that's really stuck with me. They were talking about the Republican Party, and like the only real tool they have to mobilize their party is fear. That's the only real thing that really gets them going. And and the image of the white man holding the AR-15 or whatever, saying, I'm not going to let you teach critical race theory, and just it's a script. And it looks funny to me every time I see a political commercial in down south or something like that, where guys are standing there with a gun, like they can call us racist if they want to, but we're gonna protect America. It's really interesting to see these scripts, these people play out these characters. Is what it looks like to me, and it's too bad. And it's on both sides, man. It's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, Republicans are very specific with their character right now, but like it's also very cliche for like there to be Democrats that are infighting, and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much. Like, I think what you said is very true, and what Carol Blood said, put some respect on her name. Same thing. Like, it's about what you don't want to happen instead of the people. Instead of voting for somebody who can take some action and change things and make things be how they need to be. It's about what voting about what you don't want to happen. It's crazy.
Yeah, and following the script. And I'm actually glad we got Senator Blood on because I didn't want to get into this whole voter ID situation because that's again one of the latest chess moves that are being played by state Republicans. Again, remember, it was reported that Governor Ricketts' mom is the one who's paying for this petition and is behind this one. Again, I think that it was mentioned that of the above $250,000 that's been raised for this, it was only like 7,000 that didn't come from the Ricketts family.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and now in the past week, there has been more complaints delivered to the Nebraska Secretary of State's office. Actually, 5 new complaints, to be exact, have been filed against voter identification petitioners, this time alleging that petition circulators are being misleading about the petition's intent. And unlike previous complaints, state secretary or state attorney general's office is not forwarding those claims for further investigation. Bob Evnen, who's Secretary of State, said his office does not consider these complaints to be criminal. And also Julie Slama is saying that these complaints are a part of a Democrat-led hit job to undermine the initiative. But again, there's some video out there. There's some reports, and there's also some history behind the organization that's actually managing these petitioners. Vanguard Field Strategies is the name of the organization. Again, Vanguard Field Strategies, who's based in Austin, Texas. They managed the signature gathering for another candidate in Michigan, who, according to the Detroit Free Press, will not appear on the ballot because those thousands of petitions were found to be fraudulent. And this is who Mama Ricketts is paying to run Nebraska's
Mama Ricketts.
Yeah. This is who's running the voter ID petition in Nebraska.
Wow.
So again, as Precious always says, man, and this goes back to what we're saying about how we can combat this and kind of get ahead of it. I kind of think about, don't blame Democrats for always being on the offensive or on the defensive, because you got to get ahead of all of this voter suppression and all of these tactics that are used to suppress the vote. And this is just another one of those.
Carol Bluff for governor says voter ID against unproven fraud being promoted by petitioners actually being fraudulent.
That is again, y'all, make it make sense, man.
Yep. Wanda Lewis says, remember the current mayor said that if she was elected that she would eliminate restaurant tax. Once she was elected, she changed her mind and said that it generated too much money for the city. Nice little reminder there of, like, kind of sometimes what politicians will do is make some, run on certain issues and then get in there and change their mind. She says, my point is what they say isn't always what they do. Very true.
Oh, yeah.
Very true. Sean McCarthy in the house. What's up? He says, I saw a ballot petitioner try to approach an elderly black woman near the family fair on Saddle Creek. The woman voiced her concern, and the petitioner in very reflective way said, this is why we want it on the ballot, so the people can decide. We just want the people to decide, which was pretty shady.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of deciding then by not deciding to sign the ballot.
Rose Review says, as well as when homeowners have certain dogs or pools, they are required to take out additional insurance on their homes to protect the public. I should go back and see, were you talking about insurance on gun ownership or something like that? I didn't get the context of your comment there. Kimmer Snipes also says the mayor also said that public safety was her top priority. So much for that. Okay.
That part.
Interesting comments there, but yeah, this particular article, we have been talking about this. I was kind of blown away when I heard Precious was it last week talking about? No, it was a couple of weeks ago. She was talking about this these people walking around with petitions and how easy it is for us to sign these things when really they're not really following the rules. They're supposed to read the whole petition to you first and all these things that I didn't know, and this one particular that they're walking around now, especially, is they'll sometimes target young black youth, young black men, and they'll have them kind of going around and, dress them up and go around and have people sign these petitions and not really explaining to them exactly what it's all about. And they got a whole lot of voter ID signatures, and what's really going on about it is that it could, to me, it sounds like it's all fraudulent. It sounds like they would be invalid. Even if you did sign it, it would be invalid because the way that it was presented to you was all wrong. You know, you just talked about a situation where a candidate didn't get the candidacy because they had to throw out all the signatures because they were all
Yeah.
fraudulent.
Yeah, and this is
So
the same company. It's kind of par for the course. It sounds like this is what they do, and to the point of, what the actual petition is even about. Even that is, fraudulent on its face, because again, they're trying to push this voter ID because they're saying that a lot of the votes that went to Biden were fraudulent,
yeah,
and people need ID to prove that they are who they are when they vote, which in itself is flawed.
right.
Just that the whole concept is flawed in itself, because again, we've explained many times just how flawed that is and how difficult it is for some people to get ID, and
Right.
you can have fake ID, like that doesn't necessarily prove what they're trying to prove.
It's not the law. You don't have to have an ID to vote. They're trying to change that because that would cause another little hurdle for people who, especially people they're having a hard time getting an ID or can't get an ID, and that makes it so that they can't vote. So it's just another hurdle. Precious says it all the time. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't try so hard and spend so much money on trying to stop it.
Right.
That's another tactic. Miss Carol Blood says, when you see these things, please report it. They approached me saying they were with the state of Nebraska. Please report these petitioners to the SOS office. So they might come up and say they're from the state of Nebraska,
Yeah.
their official capacity type of thing. Brother Muhammad says petitions are written by attorneys. Words matter. Who can read the attorney's language other than attorneys? Very true. Carol Blood says, but you don't need ID to sign the petition. That's the ironic part to me too. You have a
Right.
petition that says you need an ID to vote. You're supposed to be a registered voter to sign the petition in the first place, but they're not going to check that. They don't. You don't need it. They're not going to. There's no way they can check it, and you don't have to have an ID to sign your name down on it. It make sense, like you say.
Exactly.
Few years back, I was living in the area of the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, and that was the place where I went to go vote. And first thing that happened was I walked up in there, and they said, "You here to vote? Can I see your ID?" And without thinking about it, I pulled the ID out to show them. And then in the middle of doing that, I was like, "Oh wait, no, this is not even. You're not supposed to ask. Wait a minute. We're at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. You should know that you're not supposed to ask that question." And oh, really? I didn't know. I thought that's what it was. I was like, man, even here, you know what I'm saying? But it was also real interesting to me, like how fast I whipped it out. It was just like I was at the bar or something. Yeah, here's my ID. Okay, give me my beer. Like,
Oh yeah.
like it's
I mean,
it's that easy for people to just do it. And so the fight is not a lot of fight sometimes for it because it's so easy to do it for the people that have it.
yeah, that's a part of the programming, and how they a lot of times get us. But yeah, you did good by stopping, thinking, and asking questions, because a lot of people might not. If you don't think about it, you might not really, think about it and really see what it is. But that is the equivalent of asking, former slaves to do a test, to
Right.
read something in order to vote.
Right.
It's the
And
same thing.
And just to be clear, it wasn't anybody at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. It was a volunteer that came there to help with the voting situation there. Was that was mistaken on that particular issue.
Yeah. And what is this all for? Again, what is the whole point of all of these moves? Is again control. So, things can happen like Trump appointing judges that'll sit in their position for lifetime, or things like Ricketts appointing the likes of Kathleen Kauth to the legislature, who was named just this past Tuesday to fill the vacancy in the Nebraska legislature that was left by Rich Pauls, who recently passed. And of course, Kathleen Kauth fits right into the agenda of Ricketts.
How
So
so?
again, it's chestnut checkers. Well, Kauth describes herself as a strong pro-life and supportive gun rights. So that's the two main things
that's
that
her whole
Ricketts,
definition of her
right.
existence.
The two main things that Ricketts are going out on, as far as again trying to eliminate um, the need for testing and a lot of the requirements that are already surrounding the ownership of guns, and then also the Roe v. Wade conversation. She has spoken out publicly in the past against making requirements to prevent the spread of COVID-19 as well. Again, adamant against masks, and we'll be talking about this a little later on in the show. But we're still not fully out of the COVID-19 situation.
Interesting.
Contrary to Ricketts' belief.
I'm going to jump back into the chat here, vibing off of what Carol Blood was talking about earlier about reporting these things, reporting these people that are walking around with these petitions. Wanda Lewis says that they are posted at the Mega Saver on Saddle Creek in Hamilton as well. We talked about the Mega Saver the other day, and how that's a ground that's like one of the ground zeros for these petitions, and why that might be. Also, Kimmer Snipes says, try to get video evidence. Been down this path with ballot initiatives in the past. Yeah, there's other things we can do besides speaking up. Get some video evidence. Sean McCarthy says, I think that's the definition of irony, right? To not have to show your ID to sign a petition about showing your ID. Brother Valentine says Democrats need a response team to show up at these locations and educate people. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. It looks like Carol Blood's talking to Brother Muhammad. Says it's the law. They have to read the subject matter. Yeah, they got to read. They're supposed to read all that to you. Rome's Review says, I'm not a gun owner, but believe in the right to own, possibly make owners register their firearms yearly like vehicles, and make diminishing costs along with it. Do background checks at the time. There's a lot that can be done. A lot of suggestions about what can be done. To me, if you got something, if you want to start somewhere, start with treating it like a driver's license at the very least.
Right.
Mark Manor says, in the old market, I get approached multiple times a day. A handful of times they have said they were from the state. Usually they call it a voters' right petition. Voters' rights petition. Wow. They're aggressive also. That's really interesting. Look out. I'm glad we're talking about this. Look out for them, man. When we talked about this before, I was thinking about young brothers that come up nice, try to be nicely dressed in the parking lot of the grocery store or whatever, and it looks like they're trying to do something. They're getting paid. They're getting paid to do something positive. It's a person like me would look at them like, okay, they're civics oriented. They're community based here. They're trying to do something good. They're trying to involve themselves in local politics, and that's a good thing. But they're not handling the reading of the petition right. They're there's a bunch of stuff that's not what it needs to be there. And now that I'm educated on a little bit, I'll be able to educate them when I run into them. But it's just interesting, like how quick I would have been to sign something that a young brother came up to me and tried to get me to sign, if he was convincing enough about what it was. And I'm trying to look over it. I'm trying to find some information. I'm trying to see what's going on. There's not always a lot of information there at all. It's just a petition, a page you can sign your name to. They're supposed to explain some things to you. I've never once looked at. Let me see the petition. Let me see the paperwork. Let me read it over first before I do it. They're aggressive. They want to get it done now, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I know it's a headache. I know it's a lot, but I definitely urge people, never sign anything that you didn't read first. Never sign anything that you did not at least skim through, read, lay eyes on something.
That's right. Sharon Ann cracks me up, says that if you're going to sign a petition, sign for medical marijuana.
There you go.
There's some other petitions out there. You just got to know what you're signing.
That's the point.
Yep. Carol Blood said, right. It goes back to the history of poll taxes. This whole voter ID thing is along the same lines as that stuff. Poll taxes, tests for people, all kinds of stuff. Ronnie Shield says petitions are also a way to get and change voting registration. Really? Okay. To get and change voting registration. Okay.
Which it has been a lot of that party hopping.
A lot of party hopping going on for sure. Definitely know what the petition is, what you're signing. And Carol Blood says that we required to read it every time. If they didn't read it to you, you already know something's up. If they just say, well, this is for voter ID, okay, or this is for voter rights, or whatever they might say. Well, read the whole thing, man. I got to hear that. Sean McCarthy says 10 years ago, I think a similarly misleading ballot initiative was circulating. I think it was an initiative that would make employment discrimination easier, but it was masked as Employment Equity Act.
Yep.
Got to read it. Christy Norris says a young black woman approached me about signing for voter ID. I flat out asked her what the F is she doing. Okay, I suggested to go talk to raise the wage folks for a paid position. Her answer was that dead folks were voting. Ooh, I told her no, they are wanting to away your ability to vote, take away your ability to vote. Sorry about that. I'm trying to read through your thing there, but we get the gist. Sounds like she was very, very misinformed, young lady, unfortunately, and was in the belief that people were using dead people's names to vote and everything. So sounds it sounds like some script stuff to me in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brooke says someone approached me more than once at Benson Park at the on the playground. They're out here, man. Kimmer Snipe says we can't accost these young people who are gathering signatures. They are also being lied to and just trying to make some money. If they ain't working and out here robbing people, then we'll be talking about them for that. That's what I was saying. I feel like there's I always feel like when a young person, especially a young person of color, comes up to me with the list, I'm like, okay, well, at least they're trying to be civic minded, and this is a positive thing that they're doing, but that doesn't always mean that what they're representing is the right thing, and they're being, Kimmer Stein said it, they're being lied to as well in a lot of those instances.
Yeah.
So here, Miss Carol Blood says if any petitioner is found to be guilty of fraud, all of the signatures gathered by that person are considered invalid unless proven otherwise. So that's how important that is. If they don't read the petition to you, if there's anything fraudulent about what they're doing, whether it's their fault or not, then those petitions don't even hardly matter sometimes. Like, it's a shame that it can't just be a straightforward thing. There's games being played even with the petitions.
All the way around. And according to this Omaha World Herald article, this petition ballot will most likely find its way in court. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on this situation because, again, this is yet another attempt to attack the ability to vote.
Yeah, so too bad.
There you go.
Let's take a quick break, man. 8:32 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, the chat is going off. I very much encourage you to go back and read the conversation that's going down here on the chat. Lots of people talking and some very good points coming out. So definitely check that out. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Take a little breather here, and then we'll come back and got a few more things to talk about before the HAPs. So get your HAPs together as well. We got to talk about what's going on June 18th because it's a lot of stuff going on June 18th. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Again, First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Star Trek Rich. Stay tuned. Trekking Words of Wisdom coming up. Welcome back.
Hey.
What you know about that welcome back, Carter?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Oh, man, we're back. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Star Trek Rich in the house. Star Trek Rich is always holding things down here at Weberized Studios. And one of the things that Weberized does, besides teach you how to do a podcast and record your podcast and make your podcast sound professional, is also provide what we call the Starfleet Daily Meditations. Buddy likes to call Trekkie Words of Wisdom. Today is about engineer Miles O'Brien. He says, you choose your enemies, you choose your friends, but family, that's in the stars. Very true. Very true. You can't choose your family. Choose everything else. So that's in the stars. You got to work with it. There's some things that are not under your control. You just got to deal with it, and deal with it in a good way. Might as well. It's in the stars. So that's pretty deep thing for engineer Miles O'Brien to say. He's kind of a working man, every man type of cat, engineer. So yeah, it's pretty deep. You choose your enemies, you choose your friends, but family, that's in the stars. So there you go, your Trekkie Words of Wisdom, your Starfleet Daily Meditation for the day, brought to you by Weberized Studios. If you have podcast ideas, you definitely should hit up Weberized and talk to them about how to develop that. It's going down. Brooks Zane is beatboxing this. What's up? I taught him a little beatboxing. He's going for it. That's what's going on, man. Lots of conversation going on in the chat today. Really appreciate that. Thank you for joining us and doing that. Really, really appreciate everybody kind of talking to each other as well, man. Speaking of the family that we choose, the friends that we choose you guys, and this is the first Sky Omaha family, and not just us talking, but you talking. That's what this is all about. So thank you very much for that. Yep. It is 8:36 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, got a few more things to talk about before we get to the haps. So get your haps together coming up, and we got to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff going on. I hope Miss Willie Williams, our Southwest correspondent, is still in the house. Love to talk to you a little bit about what's going on. Under the weather, Precious just jumped in. She says, "Sorry I couldn't join y'all this morning under the weather." I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I hope you feel better. Michelle's feeling under the weather too. That was the reason why she couldn't make it today too. So I did notice, man, my breathing and stuff got all messed up, and my sinuses got really messed up over the last couple of days. And I think that if I wasn't really trying to keep a handle on it, I probably would have been down and out too. I'm feeling that whole drag. Yeah. It's probably just the weather and stuff, man. We went from hot to foggy to hailstorms to, I don't know what to do with it. Left the air conditioner on the other night and woke up sick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
'tis the season, man.
Brooke said, I've been sick for the past 4 days. Yeah, man. Yeah. Got to take care of yourselves. I don't even know what to. No, I don't even got no advice to give you. Just try to do better. When I start feeling like this, though, I start doing a lot of juicing, and I lay off a whole bunch of certain things. I find that helps the process. I lay off of all dairy when I start feeling like that, and that really lays off. Not that I do too much anyway. I'm lactose anyway, so I don't really do dairy. But I lay off of everything when I start feeling sick, and it just. It helps me recover faster. But I did notice that back in the day, man, certain things that you eat really exacerbate a lot of the stuff that's happening. I mean, it all comes from what you eat in the first place, really, way more than the environment. So yeah, that's the only advice I can give you. Just try to eat decently when you're feeling bad like that, and take care. Watch change the filters in your air conditioner or heater or whatever is on at the moment, because that's blowing right on you too all day and night. Yeah. So yeah, man. Air pressure. Go ahead.
Dr. CB said, "Watch out for that mucus. Watch what you eating. That's real, man.
Eat to live, brother. Eat to live." I'm about to dig back into that book myself in a minute.
There you go.
I got really inspired. I saw a video from a cat that was eating that was doing. It was talking about the Jamaican diet or the Rastafarian diet, excuse me, and how it is that they eat and they grow their stuff, eat from the land. Real inspiring. I was just like, man, I got to get it's a good time too. The farmers market is going off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a good time to really kind of like revamp that situation. I'm definitely going to do that.
You remember Rastafarian? Big shout out to Rastafarian. Used to come up to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation in partnership. They had the garden events. They would have the food events, the food war events. So yeah, big shout out to Rastafarian.
Still fighting the food war.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's a real thing, and actually, that kind of takes me into the last article before we kind of start
Yeah.
wrapping things up. Talking about this COVID-19 because that's actually something that I have been using as far as watching what I eat in my diet, and a lot of times when I kind of feel a sickness, like I haven't had COVID, I've never had COVID, but there has been times where there's kind of been mucus buildup and just sickness, and during the pandemic, you don't know. So I would take things like elderberry, drink aloe, eat a lot of oranges, like that always helped. So yeah, as far as talking about the diet, that really reminded me of COVID because that's still a real thing. It's still something that a lot of people are dealing with, even being 2-3 times vaccinated. Numbers are still rising, and it's quite interesting that Governor Rick is appointed Kathleen Kauth as he just did, because again, not only, as I mentioned, some of the things that are coming up the pike as far as gun rights and pro-life and where she stands on some of that stuff, but she has also been an avid opponent to mask mandates and to any mitigating factors that could go against the spread of COVID-19. Again, according to dailynebraskan.com, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln student news site, Kathleen Kauth testified against the use of masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19 before the NU Board of Regents in October. Later that month, Kauth moderated a panel of opponents to masking requirements, and that panel included Dr. Peter McCullough, who was fired and has been sued by Baylor University for spreading misinformation about COVID-19. Also, a California Department of Public Health study published by the Federal Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC, recently found that the chances of becoming infected were cut in half by wearing a mask in public. However, she's been one of those anti-maskers, and this is who Governor Rick has recently appointed to the legislature, even as Nebraska's COVID-19 cases continue to rise. In the last 2 months, there's been a climb, and just last week, now is growing faster than such infections nationally. The state recorded numbers are 2,354 new COVID cases. Again, that's 2,354 new COVID cases during the week ending Friday. So just this past weekend, almost 2,500 new COVID cases coming through Nebraska, which is almost double from the previous week. And according to figures compiled by the CDC, and the steepness of this, of course, is likely exaggerated by the delay in reporting some cases, as Nebraska has continuously been behind on its COVID-19 reporting, largely due in part to Governor Ricketts and his office.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the chat, Guillermo Enrique Pina Valadez says, so what happens with the virus now? As the virus progresses, we are certainly going to see numbers and security, and because the virus has been mutated to change and affect our bodies differently, COVID is not over. Yeah, we're definitely in the era of some new mutations from these variants, and as a matter of fact, they even just released a new vaccine that's built a little differently, built like more of a traditional vaccine, in the hopes, and it's 90% effective, just like the other ones. They're saying in the hopes that the people that were skeptical about getting the vaccine because of the new technology will gravitate towards these, because it was kind of made in a traditional way that other vaccines were made, and kind of more proven and just as effective. So, I mean, they're even making new vaccines right now, bro. Like, we're all the way not over with COVID, and everybody, everybody kind of knows somebody right now that caught it. We're not seeing. It's not like it was a year or two ago, where you caught it in the dread of, like, people dying, and everything else is not as those. These new variants are not as potent as the first one, this first wave. But we did lose 1 million people to the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
And it could, some natural variations and things that are happening because of the fact that a lot of people died off, and all kinds of stuff. We have to keep that in mind. But yeah, all the numbers. Brother Muhammad says, "What number is this shot? More shots, right? More shots coming, because of the fact that we still are in this pandemic. We're on this wave now of things rising. Michelle Troskler, both her parents got it. So these are people that have been cautious, like you said, been vaccinated, been boosted the third time because of their age, wears masks everywhere, goes out one time and catches a variant.
Yep.
I was at the grocery store yesterday and I was fully feeling that. Okay, yep, I'll start wearing this mask every day, everywhere again, everywhere. This ain't what's up. It's too many people coughing in my face. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, yeah. Not having it. Everybody's walking around sick. I think Miss Erica Felt earlier was talking about the change in pressure in the air, and everybody's sick. But there's some of these people that are sick. It's the COVID coming back out. There's long COVID that we're worried about still. Lots going on. Miss Erica Felt says, and there are those who didn't die, but can no longer work or be self-sufficient, like my son's father, who can't speak and gets dialysis 3 times a week now.
That's crazy.
So side effects from COVID, right?
Man, yeah. I've heard more and more about long-term COVID and lingering COVID.
Yeah. Brother Muhammad says, I take a mask everywhere I go. I heard that. You can look at me crazy if you want to, bro. I'd rather you look at me crazy than you breathe some mess on me. I'm not even with it. I just happened to walk in and forgot about putting it on and got in there. I always keep one in my back pocket too. Midway through, I was like, oh no, I couldn't put my finger on what I was feeling. I kept going, what am I feeling like? Why I feel like these people are closing in on me? What's going on? And I was like, oh, I don't have my mask on right now.
Yep, that public anxiety.
Yeah. Wanda Lewis says, I see people at the gas station open the door with their hands, punch the number when using their credit card, pick up the gas hose, start pumping, then get in the car and start eating pastries and chips without sanitizing their hands. Yeah, that's funny, man. Yeah, I'm doing that too. I'm very, very, very aware of that type of stuff too. Like I'm aware of the handshaking now. I'm aware of, it's interesting what we became aware of over this course of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Yeah, she's Wanda Lewis says it's not always what you breathe. Sometimes it's the same as your touch, right? Stuff you touch as well, for sure. So yeah, we got to go back and get diligent again. Be extra careful about it. It's still here, and that's what it is. And there's still people at risk. And like Pop says, man, Pops is one of those ones. He's like, nah. He's like, I'm in the house, bro. Like I'm gonna keep it the way it's been. Have to.
Oh yeah.
So
the new norm. It's the new norm.
Most definitely. Right on 8:47. Leaving the concept of time. Want to do a little lightning round before we get to the haps? Or
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Seems like you're deep into reading something over there. What you looking at?
Yeah. I'm actually going through these articles, preparing for the lightning round, to be honest, because we got a few articles and just a few minutes left. So I did want to kind of hop into that as we wrap this up and leave time for this Juneteenth conversation that I know you've been wanting to have. A lot of things going on the 18th, so we're going to get into that. So yeah, let's go ahead and knock out this lightning round really quickly. Several stories that we did not get into because of the titillating conversation. So as always, appreciate the chat chimers out there, letting your minds be free, letting your voices be heard. But here's a few things we did not get into today. This being reported now that Judge Peter Cahill, who's presiding over all of the George Floyd hearings and the police who murdered George Floyd, their hearings. Again, George Floyd is not on trial. But the judge overseeing the remaining cases did announce that he will delay the last 2 remaining trials until January in hopes that some of the recent publicity surrounding the most recent guilty plea and conviction of Officer Thomas Lane, who just last month pled guilty, and now his other 2 co-defendants are still awaiting trial, and that's going to be pushed back to January 5th in hopes of some of the publicity and just the unfair trial argument is being presented in this one. Again, the judge is saying because of the publicity, jurors are most likely be sort of skewed in their opinions, and the trial will be unfair. So again, there's that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Also, in some positive news, coming in North Omaha, we've been looking at the Black Box Theater that's going to be making its way to North 24th Street. It's a dilapidated building that will be renovated and transformed into a new theater. The $6.4 million project is on track and recently received a boost to the tune of $354,000 in TIFF financing. So finally, a project actually in North Omaha. It's actually addressing a dilapidated building, going to receive some TIF financing. So looking forward to that. Big shout out to everyone involved. This will be an expansion of the Union for Contemporary Art. So again, big shout out to the team over there. Also, speaking of development, the Gene Leahy Mall is close to completion as well. The $300 million project is again been underway for quite some time and will include an amphitheater, a pavilion, some playground areas, green space. The slides will still be there, but again, this is all in attempts to bring more tourism to Omaha. So again, that's coming. What you laughing for, Paul? What you laughing for?
Omaha as a tourist destination is always a funny phrase to me.
Yeah, man. The park is set to open on July 1st, so that is right around the corner. Now, also, there's speaking of around the corner, there's a proposal for the Streetcar Project, but there's one person in particular, Omaha native Tom Rubin, who's actually a transportation consultant in Los Angeles and San Francisco areas, says that he's pretty skeptical about this project. The city is saying that they are still pushing forward. It's not necessarily anything set in stone. It's a lot of developmental and research processes, but yeah, they're still going to push forward with this streetcar situation. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, man. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. But last but not least, a lot of concern surrounding this Nox-Crete plant that caught on fire last week, and more people concerned about the chemicals that potentially seeped out into the community. And now it is being reported exactly what was in there, according to the company. The building held raw materials, including a variety of solvent, petroleum, and water-based chemicals. It has been reported that the EPA is on site collecting samples of soil, surface water, and ash from the site and downwind of the facility. The EPA has also ruled out the presence of asbestos inside the facility. So we are still awaiting the report from the EPA to see exactly what the damage is. But that is our lightning round.
Okay, I can see that there's going to be lots to talk about in the next few shows here. Just even according to those things. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
A lot more to look out for.
I feel like jumping in, diving in, but we gotta get to the Haps. So stay tuned. The Haps is happening right now.
What's the Haps?
Get your shoulders moving.
What's happening?
Wait a minute. Who didn't know this was my track? Somebody just told me that they didn't know this was us.
Come on, man. 101. 1 of 1.
Come on, man. So it's time for the Haps, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the Haps. That is the point of the show when we talk about what's going on and things that are coming up. And it's time for you to let us know about some things that are coming up as well. As a matter of fact, Brianna Full in the chat gives us a good morning, y'all. Stay safe and healthy. There's a protest this Saturday from 11 to 1 at Memorial Park to advocate for gun reform. Teachers, elected officials, and students will be there together in solidarity. That sounds like quite the protest right there. So,
wasn't there just a shooting at Memorial?
Oh, I don't know. Was there? I'm not sure.
I feel like I heard that it was recently. Just somebody just got shot at Memorial Park.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, so this Saturday, 11 to 1. I'm sure we'll learn more about that. 11 to 1, Memorial Park, advocate for gun reform. And I like the fact that teachers, elected officials, and students are going to be there in solidarity. So that's what's up. Appreciate you letting us know about that one for sure. Wait a minute. Oh, Brooke said they would have to make a Disneyland Midwest located in Omaha for Omaha to be a tourist attraction.
He was like, there's a Disneyland? Wait, what?
Wait a minute. I know that ain't going to be the next Disneyland.
Oh, man.
But I will say we have like one of the best zoos on earth. So maybe, the zoo got to be a tourist attraction here, right?
I mean, yeah. Hey, that's great.
In the meantime, between time, buddy, you want to go ahead and get started with some of the haps we got?
Letting the people, reminding the people about the first Fridays going down at Black Coffee. Again, every first Friday, there will be a free continental breakfast provided with a Reconnect and Black Coffee at the North Omaha Breakfast Club. So definitely shout out to them. Just this past Friday, they had hostess LaVon Stennis Williams there. So definitely shout out to her. And then also our brother Terrell McKinney is hosting a town hall coming up. I'm not seeing. There we go. Thursday, June 16th is coming up next week. Malcolm X Memorial Center. Of course, that's located 3448 Evans Street. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. But we'll be recapping some of the sessions, some of the bills that were passed, and some just really having a community conversation about the work that still needs to be done. So again, big shout out to Senator Brother Terrell McKinney. Put some respect on his name. I got to say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. We definitely always
back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we definitely appreciate the work that he is doing.
And
other things going on.
Go ahead.
I was asking you. Sound like you was about to say something.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on we need to talk about real quick. This new one right here is June. We can talk about this one first. Juneteenth to celebrate the Freedom Day. National Juneteenth in Nebraska. This is the first time that I'm seeing some stuff from the National Juneteenth Nebraska situation. So that's Saturday, June 11th, 2022, 12 to 4. Fabric Lab, 2514 North 24th Street. Lots of stuff going on. There's going to be activities, kids corner, free food, music, local vendors, all kinds of stuff, and the trail walk. Family event for everyone to enjoy. The trail walk is one of the ones that needs to be talked about as well. So what we have here is a flyer that has been submitted by, I believe, Brother Von Chapman in the chat, in the Friends of First Sky Omaha group page. Walk with Girl Trek, Omaha, Nebraska, Saturday, June 11th from 8 to 10. We will walk to heal our bodies, inspire our daughters, and reclaim the streets of our neighborhoods. A 2-mile walk for healing and liberation along the North Omaha Trail. So the brand new North Omaha Trail that's also been posted about in Friends of First Sky Omaha group page is now paved, and so they're going to walk the trail for the first time and go check this out for this event. Now, in the chat, the question has been asked: why have they left men and boys out of this walk, this particular healing walk that's happening here? And I thought that I might throw that question out there to the people that are involved here as well. I know we have people from Fabric Lab that check out the show. And I definitely want to put the question out there because it's been asked several times in Friends of First Sky Omaha by different people. So the focus on this one seems to be inspiring the daughters. That's cool. That's a cool thing. But the people are asking the question, why have the dudes been left out of this one? So anyway, so that's happening with on June 11th, which is good because there are so many things happening on June 18th. It might be worthy of a little bit of a conversation. Of course, we have the Juneteenth Joy Fest that's going on in that area as well on June 18th, Saturday, June 18th, 24th Street. It's going to be at the Fabric Lab. It's going to be music performances, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a pretty huge event, as a matter of fact, and they've been doing a lot of publicity for it. But what I've been seeing around is that there's also other things that are going on around that time too. So we had a little bit of a discussion about the lack of coordination. Sometimes we feel like there's a little bit of lack of coordination going on with different folks. This one is happening right next door at NOMA, the Love's Jazz building, 2510 North 24th. It's the Steampunk Tea Party. Now that's going from 3 to 7. And then you have what's going on here at June, the same day at noon. Fortunately, those two things are right next door. You can kind of hop back and forth to these things. But there's a lot of other things going on the 18th as well. And I just want to kind of put it out there that we really need to have conversations with each other. I don't feel like Omaha is big enough. We have big enough groups to all be doing some things, because here's something else that's happening at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Omaha Freedom Fest is going on, and this is going to be a huge show. It's something that has been promoted for a while now, and we know the company, the guys that are putting this on. They're bringing out Raheem Devon, Tink, they got some pretty major artists that are coming out for this, and it's going to be a pretty huge event. It's another one of those kinds of outside events happening over at Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Donnell Jones was one of the ones that this company helped put on, that when we were there in the Mind and Soul days. So this is going to be a huge show. It's also happening on the same day, the 18th, and I'm wondering if we have the numbers in town to support everybody's event. That's kind of the question that I have, and how how they're maybe we can use this show possibly to be a link. Let's say, hey, we're looking at a date for our event. Do you guys know if anybody else is looking at those same dates? And we can kind of coordinate things. Maybe somebody can have their event the next day or the day before or something, so that we can try to be able to make everybody's thing, because we're really concerned about whether or not everybody's event is going to be attended well, in order for it to be kind of a successful thing. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we do have the numbers. Maybe there's plenty of people out there that can they'll split up and go to these things, or maybe they'll float and try to go to all of them, or what say you, buddy, on this topic?
I have to agree, man. I definitely think that just Omaha, just out of experience, it's not enough people going to things, and it's not big enough for that many different events going on at the same time for the same, for it's all in observance of Juneteenth. I definitely would like to see more coordination, but I understand people are trying to do what they can. But yeah, it would definitely make sense to kind of coordinate and pull resources together a little
I would
more.
like that. Precious says, I think we do. She says some people can't afford concert tickets, so to be able to attend something cost effective helps families. Okay, so she thinks we have the numbers there. She also says the NAACP is looking for volunteers to help with the parade. So we're talking about the Juneteenth parade as well. Call the parade hotline, 402-502-0395. Leave your name and number. Volunteers needed from 8 to 1 on the 18th. Will need to attend orientation sessions June 14th or June 17th at 7 p.m. So definitely, go back in the chat and hook that up. She says, great to see much going on Juneteenth. It gives options. Okay. I'm happy. I'm happy that there's options as well. I just hope that everything gets well attended. That's
yeah.
Well, with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's already 9:01. Thank you for everybody that's joined us, and let us know about some of these things that's going on. We will talk more about what's going on around the Juneteenth time frame Friday. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to get some cats out from the Freedom Fest on the show, so we can talk a little bit about that concert and some other things going on too. Lajia, I'd like to talk to her about the event that she's putting on, the Fabric Lab. And hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more with some other folks before we get out of here for the break, which is very soon.
Yeah, man.
It's coming up. I think Wednesday the 15th will probably be our last day before the break. So that's like in a week. So so let's continue the conversation and continue hipping each other to what's going on Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page. If you're not on that page, you might want to go check it out. That's where a lot of conversation happens when we're not here, and we can continue the conversation over there. We appreciate that. In the meantime, buddy, you got something before we get out of here?
Man, as always, we love and appreciate all the listeners, ghost listeners, first-time listeners, last-time listeners, chat chimers, everybody, man. It's a whole party. So we appreciate everybody. We appreciate your continued support. We appreciate your patience, whether we, missing days or taking a month off to just to refocus and get ourselves back together. We appreciate the support. Again, always looking for ways to grow, ways to expand as we approach fourth season, man. It's just beautiful to see the longevity, beautiful to see us now 2 years, 2 years into it, and kind of, us getting in the First Sky Omaha just on the limb, like, hey, we know we want to engage the community. We know we want to continue engaging the public. We want to continue doing what we started at Mind and Soul, and here we are now going into our fourth season. So really, really, truly appreciate y'all. We thank y'all. As always, you can catch us at firstskyOmaha.com/donate if you would like to monetarily, give in and support. So without further ado, Paul B, take it away.
Right on. Brianna Full says, if you look at the organizers of the events, it's definitely old blood and new blood. I think that's going to be our new names, bro. We kind of bridge the gap. I'm old blood, you new blood.
Hey.
I think young people are trying to do their own thing and stop asking for permission to be included.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Pop says this show is just the best. Love all three of you guys. I'll see you in the First Sky fam on Friday, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Heard that. Ronnie Shields, my man, Bozak said, great stream, gentlemen. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Highland Boys still alive. Highland Boys forever, ever. It's going down. Appreciate you coming, man. Man, you just made my day coming on the show, bro. I appreciate you. Brooks said, great show as usual. Chelsea says, great show. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate that. Ariel's 402, washing hands. Appreciate you over there, my brother. Leia Keith just says, thanks for a fantastic show. Thank you. Brother Muhammad says, take care, family. Have a great day. Peace be with you. Peace be with you as well, my brother. Appreciate you very, very much. We're going to get on up out of here, y'all. Appreciate it. Take care. Wanda Lewis, you take care as well. Thank you so much. I want to give shout out to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land. I want to give a shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. I want to give a shout out to all the chat chimers. We cannot do this group discussion without you, so we really appreciate you there. And a shout out to everybody who's a reoccurring member of the channel as well. If you would like to become one in order to help support what we're doing, then go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the donate button. And, there's the $10 option, $25, $50. We got a lot of people that are donating to the cause here to keep this thing going. So thank you very much for that. Brother Valadero says, adios, mi amigo. Thank you very much for joining us as well. And we will see you Friday. Hopefully we'll have our special guest on to have an extensive HAP show on that Friday to talk about what's going on this whole summer. Because there's a lot happening. And I think it's a lot worthy. It's worthy for a lot worth. It's worth us for us to get together and really kind of be able to see each other, hopefully in person. We really want to do that. Man, somebody just dropped a diatribe in this mug.
Yeah. Go back and read that, y'all.
Yeah, you gotta go back and read that. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So peace to you, and you guys have a good one. We'll see you Friday, 7:00, same time. You know what it is. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
By the way, Vanguard. This is protected by the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad, with the key.
By any means